welcome to our virtual release for Miss Cheryl Glover, Mirror of Truth. We want you to type in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Yes. Where are you watching from? All right, I see. Thank you all for joining us. We are here today to celebrate the book release for Miss Cheryl, Mirror of Truth. We're so excited. Come on, let's hit congratulations. Come on, congratulations in the chat. That's good. Thank you so much for being on. Stay tuned because there are going to be some great giveaways today. We're so excited to have you from all over the world. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Facebook Live. I am so excited that you have joined us on this live with the release of my new book, published by TBN. Welcome. I can't tell you enough how much it means to me that you would actually join us on this great work that I've just finished. I want you to know that the love is in this book, and this book is to create an opportunity for women to be healed all over the world. The mirror can be our best friend once we know who we are and the healing process has already begun. So I want you to get your copy of Mirror of Truth tonight. And again, welcome. Share this live with your friends and your family and tell them to come on over in this live with us. Again, thank you, and I welcome each and every one of you. Have a great evening. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. As children, we believed that. And I remember having kids on the playground that would say these things, and that's the slogan that I would say. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. But what happens is we grow up to be adult women, and women tend to hold on to those words. And I just want to read this little excerpt. Beyond childhood scars, many women also hold onto emotional pain stemming from the past relationships, be it romantic, family, or friendships. These wounds, often concealed as a defense mechanism, can hinder our growth and our emotional health. I just want to remind you to take some time out and you reconcile those words that were spoken over you, and you decide to set up a place or grab this book and begin your healing process.
Woo. It is here. It is here.
It is
We
here.
are live at the virtual release party for
Yes.
First Lady Cheryl's first book.
First book.
How does it feel?
I'm still trying to get used to it. I know it's here, but there's so much work yet to be done. So I'm embracing it. I love the idea that I have a published work that will go before me and be here when I leave.
Yes.
And I know that it's going to transform lives. So that's the excitement that I have.
Yes, and I'm excited too. What about the audience? Like our virtual audience, and we have some people here. It is exciting. It's exciting. I've been on this journey with you from the very beginning. The genesis of this whole thing, and to actually see this here,
Yes.
I'm very proud.
I know you are.
I am very proud. You know, I was trying to push for this to be like out a couple years ago, but that's okay because God has his own divine timing.
He does.
So it is right where it needs to be at the time that it needs to be here. So I want you to just talk about that process of what it has meant for you to create this. I know it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy at all.
So tell me about just like the beginning phase of it.
First of all, it was never even a thought, not even an idea, until this guy comes into my office before you were getting ready to leave to go to Shanghai.
Yep.
And remember, I had just finished my journey personally. And when you said to me, you said, Cheryl, I see a book. And I couldn't really sign on to that because I didn't know that I had the ability to even write a book.
Yep.
But I took that and I took it to the Lord, and you know, the Lord confirmed that word. And being someone who's over anxious, you know, perfectionist with what I do, I just wanted to make sure that I put the right time in and made sure that it would be a read that would be transformative with women.
Yeah.
And so I just started throwing ideas and throwing titles on things where I knew we struggled as women. And so I created this space, and as I put those ideas out, I just started doing one chapter at a time.
Yep.
And that's how I got started.
And you know what? What they don't know
Uh-oh.
is that you actually kicked me out of your office.
I certainly did.
You kicked me out because I started throwing all those ideas at
Yes.
you, and you were like, you know what? Get out, get out.
Get
I was like,
out.
I'm not finished. The Lord is still downloading some stuff, and you really did.
I
take
really
it.
did kick you out.
You did. You kicked me out.
But guess what?
I'm still hurt by that.
No, you're not, because you came back and you said, well, I think it's time for you to go ahead and create this as your ministry, remember?
That's right.
So you weren't too hurt because you said, let's talk about what that image will look like.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked about the butterflies, I wanted a heart, because when we talk about those things that we have within our heart, we created the heart, but we also had the woman in the heart as she's looking at her transformation. So if you look at the butterfly, she's looking at that butterfly.
Right.
And that image, it serves as one purpose, and that is for every woman to know that whatever your healing journey is, you have the capacity to do it, and you'll see the transformation happen. So that's the theming in the butterfly, which you helped me come up with.
And then, you know what? The other thing, before the book came, there was a conference that you had.
Oh, God, yes.
And that conference, I saw how the lives of women were being transformed just from the mirror work.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh. And you remember when we were in the office, I told you not only did I see a book, but a retreat center where you'll be able to minister to women all over and to just go, because women are always giving so much.
Yeah.
Right? And to be able to have a place where you can be fed and have someone pour into you.
Yeah. And guess what? And when I went to UK, guess where I was doing a retreat?
Yeah.
At a retreat center.
Yep.
And so I was able to walk on that facility, and now I see where I can actually have a facility.
Yeah.
And that's coming. I'm still praying about that.
Yeah, but I mean, baby steps, because we have the book here.
Yeah.
The book is here.
The book is here, y'all.
The
It's
book
here.
is here. I want to, first of all, just take a little bit of a break to say, if you haven't purchased your copy, make sure you go and you get your copy. Amazon, anywhere books are sold, you can get your copy. It's been published with a pretty well-known
What is
publishing
who?
company. Well, I don't know. How about you tell me?
Oh my God. It's a huge company.
Mm-hmm.
And going with this company made my book an international read.
Well, we knew that was coming.
So, well, yeah, I went with the right publisher.
Yep.
But it's with TBN. And it was in that moment where you sent me the print screen of the book in
UK.
the UK.
Yep.
And so I thought about it. I'm like, wait a minute. It's in the UK. And then I thought, well, TBN is international.
Yep.
And it's in all of the sites that TBN has reached to. So it's in Australia, it's in UK, it's in Africa. It's literally all over the world.
Yep. So you can actually go to Mirror of Truth. If you actually type in your name, because we kind of did that. We typed in Cheryl, and before we can get to R. Glover, it already pulled up Mirror of Truth.
Come on.
So, with your first book being published, going around the world, what do you feel your message to women in this book, what you want them to take from this book?
What I want every woman to take from this book is there's so many times we can be in our roles of employment, our jobs, entrepreneurship, and we can be bosses, right? But what we always tend to do is the reflection. In this book, this is why it's Mirror Truth, because the reflection is really what we need to deal with. And when we talk about reflection, that's not the person that you're looking at when you look in that mirror. It's everything you brought into that mirror. So sometimes it's disappointment, it's setbacks, it's trauma. It's you think that you're too fat, you think your hair isn't the right color. It's all of those things that we bring within that mirror. And the mirror isn't what's causing us to feel that. It's what we feel about ourselves when we look at ourselves. You know, there's a study that Glamour magazine did. And the study says that it was 95% of women that will look in the mirror and would find at least one thing that they did not like about themselves. 95% of women in the world. Let that sit in for a minute. In the world, that we only have 5% of women who can look at the mirror and be pleased with what they see. So this book is going to help you look at that reflection. And that reflection is going to help change and transform the way you use your mirror.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the thing is, it's not just, I appreciate all the work that's being done for women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have 2 daughters, and I really want them to also take away a lot of the principles and the wisdom from this book. But I also took some things away from the book, too. So I want to share some of my favorite excerpts from the book. As a man, it's not just for women.
Come
it's
on.
also for men. And
Yeah,
to
show
help
them
you-
your shirt you got on too.
You know, I'm repping the book stuff. Y'all can see. I had to get an extra small. Well, not extra small. I didn't get an extra small. But I did get a small because I've been in the gym, you know,
Well,
trying
come
to.
on.
the
Feeling
man- I
good
got-
about yourself.
Feeling good about myself. I
You
was looking
should.
at the man in the mirror.
That's
I was
right.
looking at the man in the mirror, and I was like, you know what? You look good.
That's
I
right.
had to shape myself, and, you know, I've been lifting, so I had to make sure that the small was going to accurately reflect
Reflect.
the man in the mirror
The
that I see
man.
when I'm in the gym.
Come on. See, he's already preaching. I don't need to say anything else.
But so my excerpt, the favorite from me, comes from day 12.
Okay.
And day 12 is about embracing forgiveness and experiencing freedom. So when I saw that, because there's a lot of things that life be lifing. And when life is lifing, I don't always feel like I want to forgive, but I know forgiveness is what I need to do. So in this day 12,
Okay.
you said, despite the pain, it is also important to love and serve those who have hurt us.
Mm.
It is very hard to serve somebody who has hurt you. Why did you say that? Why is that important?
Because first of all, when we talk about the freedom or forgiveness, serving someone who you know who's hurt you, what that's going to do is allow you to position yourself in alignment as God first would have us, right? Because we're called to serve. But when that person who has offended and caused a breach within your relationship, you get to choose yourself first. How do you choose yourself first? You choose yourself because God says, I can't even hear you if you've got unforgiveness in your heart. So when we're holding unforgiveness, what we're doing is we allow that person that wronged us take your power. They take your power. And if you can't look at the benefits of being close enough with God that says, when he says, when you come to the altar, he said, go and get it right first. He can't hear us. So we have people that are walking around with unforgiveness, but they serve in the church. They serve at those different nonprofit organizations. Right. They're the first ones to show up. But when whatever you're doing for Christ, when you're doing it for the Lord and you're holding unforgiveness, you're doing it in vain because he can't accept it. So allowing someone to take your power and your position that only you can have with Christ, no one is worth that.
Wow. So forgiveness is more for you than it is
Absolutely.
about the other person.
Absolutely. It's never for the other person.
I got something else.
Okay.
Guarding our hearts against unforgiveness requires us to choose forgiveness, pray, surrender, and love like Jesus. That's heavy, because sometimes I don't feel like loving like Jesus.
Well, think about he didn't want to love those people that put him on the cross.
Yeah, true.
But he says, you have to forgive even in that moment. And when you're talking about loving like Jesus, think about this. How many times do you go and ask God to forgive you?
True. Okay.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, a lot.
We go a lot, right?
Yep.
And we expect God to forgive us.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can't forgive others, he's not going to forgive you.
Yeah.
So there's benefit for us at every way you look at forgiveness.
Yeah. So I need to forgive. Okay.
I got you. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You have to choose to do it.
Yeah.
And think about this. When we hold unforgiveness, and I know it hurts, but we have to understand that if you can walk through and reconcile that whatever that ought is, it's not always about you. Some people just don't love themselves. They don't know how to manage conflict. Yeah. So sometimes they'll hurt you, and to them, it doesn't do anything. It don't do anything for them. Right. But what it does is what they're trying to do is hurt you because they're hurt. So when you can reconcile that, you can say, well, you know what? This is just them being them. But I'm not going to allow them to keep me in any separation with God. Yeah. Because I need him too much. And when we sitting here and we're saying we're going to God in prayer, oh, I pray holy and I'm this and that, but you're holding unforgiveness, you should have slept. Right. Because he can't receive it.
Yeah. So I need to make sure that I'm forgiven so that he's not sleeping on me.
That's it. Look at you. That's right. That's good. You got it.
So Mirror of Truth wouldn't be Mirror of Truth without having some affirmations in there. And I know that you have a ministry where you pretty much help women with how they see themselves, what they say about themselves, but you give them positive affirmations that will help transform their lives. And so this book would not be what it is without having some positive affirmations. So I shared my favorite excerpts on forgiveness. So now I'm going to share this affirmation. I want y'all to listen up real carefully.
And these are my affirmations. Yes. They're not what you're going to see in every book or on the shelves. These are affirmations that I created and made sure that they were unique in what I was doing.
And this is good because not only did you give an affirmation, but then you also have a part in the book after you give the affirmations where you allow them to reflect on the lessons learned from that particular day. And so, as you can see, you can probably see the lines. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there are lines for you to reflect. My favorite affirmation in this is on the forgiveness again. I choose forgiveness. By releasing the burden of unforgiveness, I open my heart to healing, experience freedom from bitterness, and cultivate a spirit of love and understanding. Forgiving others is an act of self-care that leads me toward emotional and spiritual healing.
See the benefit, right?
Yep.
Because you're the one that needs the healing.
Yeah.
And as soon as you do that, your heart opens up, and God is freeing with his love.
Yeah.
And his grace and his mercy.
Yeah.
So we all have the capacity to do that.
Well, I thank you because my life is already being transformed just by that day right there. The day on forgiveness. And then what I love about this is that each day is a journey. And at the end of that journey, it's positive affirmation that gives you an opportunity to reflect. So I love that. And we also have now some congratulatory videos that we are going to share.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to kind of like congratulate you on this book. It wouldn't be a virtual release party without the congratulatory videos. So if you are watching, please stay tuned because we have so much more coming.
Congratulations, Pastor Cheryl, for the book. Wow. I pray and I believe that that book is going to change lives. It is going to change lives because you even, when you came here into into the UK, you changed our lives with this word of self-love. So I believe that it's going to change lives. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Congratulations, Pastor Cheryl, on the launch of your book. Thank you so much for being such a blessing to us women here in the UK. And we are so excited to see this book reaching further and beyond all four corners of the earth. And we pray that it will transform lives and impact the lives of many other people. We are so happy for you. We are so excited. And we're here to see what God is going to do through this book. Congratulations. Love you.
Congratulations to Lady Cheryl Williams for placing this divine truth in our spirit, the mirror of truth. It's just a reflection of what the text says in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 18. Thank you for this, for taking your time out to write this truth, mirror of truth, that we can reflect and we can get closer and closer to the image and to the likeness of our Lord Jesus Christ, and most importantly, to be an imitator. But I have this wonderful opportunity to step into the inspired scribe prayer altar. I step into that bit, I can feel the aroma of prayer, and you praising those every chapter of the book on your prayer wall. It's more important to me. A lot of people who read this book might not have the opportunity to see how you've labored spiritually by placing this divine mirror of truth on your prayer wall. Now you've placed it in our innermost being. All I can say, may the breath of God breathe upon this book and let it spread all over the four corners of this universe. In Jesus' mighty name. Thank you so much for being an inspired scribe. Bye-bye. Pastor Cheryl Glover, I just want to say congratulations on your book launch, The Mirror of Truth, an amazing book that I believe is going to transform nations and the worlds. And I want you to know that as you look through this book, there is authenticity that you pick from it, where it raises you as an authentic person as you go through the different pages. Not just that, but the issue of self-love is critical, because if you can't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor, you can't even love your spouse. And so this is very powerful, not just for women, but for men as well, as we discover who we are. Because unless we know who we are, we cannot learn to impact those that are not us. It's imperative to know who you are, imperative to learn how to say no sometimes because of that which you identify with. Now, this is just amazing. And if you don't have a copy, you better get a copy. Otherwise, this is from Central Africa. This is Apostle Sidney Mulenga signing off from Zambia. I wished I was physically there, but I believe that we can connect through various technologies to tap into what's already going on as you launch this book. Enjoy yourself. Congratulations once again. Shalom, shalom.
Transformed by God's love. This section is simple. The mirror of God's love reflects the true essence of who we are. When we look into the mirror, we see ourselves through the eyes of the one who created us. If God created us and he said that we were very good, why would we allow what we feel in our heart or in our experiences change who we have the essence to truly be? So, honey,
Yeah.
let me ask you a question. Being on this journey with me, and now that we're here to a complete book and getting ready to celebrate our virtual book release, what would you have to say or add to this process?
I would say that it has been an amazing journey to witness, to be with you at really the infancy of it all, which was rooted in your desire to help women heal and overcome setbacks, disappointments, tragedies in their lives, and just overall feel better about themselves and love themselves. And to see that desire morph and develop first into a ministry where you're working with women individually, then the concept of a larger conference with themings around women's healing, and then to develop into a literal program that you take women to, and now to have all of your thoughts that you developed over the years in different sessions with women collected in one volume, one book that people can get their hands on and learn. It's been an amazing journey. I've seen you pray, I've seen you cry, I've seen you frustrated because there was something on the inside of you were trying to give birth to and you were trying to articulate it. And I've seen you go back in that room and in your prayer room and lock yourself up and let God work that thing out of you. So to see this come to fruition, I'm just in a place of immense pride. And I just want you to know, and everyone who's going to be a part of this launch and who's going to get their hands on this book, that this represents who you are as a person and your love for people, but your love for women in particular, and empowering women and helping women recover and become the best version of themselves. That this isn't artificial intelligence. This isn't skimmed off of something someone else has put out there. There's a uniqueness to your sound, to your ministry, to your heart that I have seen touch the lives of thousands of women. And even as we've gone abroad and you've ministered to women, I am convinced that this is a global message. And I'm just excited to see the doors that God is going to open up for you. And I'm just putting it out there now. I'm your armor bearer, okay? I'm going to carry your luggage. I'm going to manage your tables, and I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader. I'm immensely proud of you, and I love you for everything you're allowing God to do through you.
Thank you, honey.
Wow. And so here we are. We trust and hope that you all enjoyed those congratulatory videos from people around the world who have been impacted by Pastor Cheryl's ministry. And I want to officially be on record as saying how extremely proud I am of you. And I absolutely am committed to being your biggest cheerleader. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I've been behind the scenes. I've seen this seed grow and blossom into what it is. And I see also where God is taking it. So you've already done an amazing job giving a general overview, but I want our conversation to focus on some of the behind the scenes intimate detail. Now, this is going to surprise you a little bit, but I just want to set the stage for how intimate I want our questions to be. Because I remember as a widowed pastor, I asked you to be my wife. And one of the things you said was God hadn't called me to be a pastor's wife. And how am I supposed to do that? And one of the things I said to you, I'm not looking for a pastor's wife. I'm looking for a wife and a mother to my children, and whatever else God does in your life, it's going to be a bonus. And man, what an amazing bonus it has been. So with that, you've come a long way from that apprehension to embracing this mandate on your life. And I do believe it's a mandate. So my first question is, speak to that moment where you realized that there was a mandate on your life to minister to women. And take us back to that moment where what has now become self-love, my priority as a ministry, began to take birth.
It started with me first. It was just an acknowledgement that I realized and had. And it was a moment where I was questioned if I truly loved myself. And in that moment, because, we're always talking about, I need to lose this 10 pounds or 15 pounds, and I didn't want to do a photo shoot because of the weight. And that was the challenge question that I received. And so I literally went in this space of like, Lord, do I really have a problem with loving myself? And as I began to pray about it, God opened the door and told me, because as a pastor's wife, everybody think that pastor wives have it all together. And there are moments where I would shake coming into the church because I wasn't the normal pastor's wife. So there were things that I was intimidated about doing. And God said, now this is what you're going to do, is you're going to live out loud for 1 year. And this is when I didn't even know how to do a post. And I had to show my vulnerabilities. So twice a month, I literally would go to Facebook and put a vulnerability out there. Now, I didn't know where that was going to take me. But because I was vulnerable and I said, these are my scars, women started then coming. When you put that post out, was that really your story, or was that just a post? So that's how self-love is my priority came into key. Because as I was making the post, you know, people start to ask, and I had to say, no, self-love is my priority. And that's how we came up with the theme. And in that, women all over would reach out to me. And think about it, at that time, that's when I started going and speaking a lot at different conferences, because I was able to reconcile and understand that I am not, you know, one of these women where I feel now that I have to hide things. This is me. This is the authentic person of who I am. And so because women started to come and I began to really start ministering to women, then we ended up with the conferences. So we built those conferences. And so you knew that every time God would give me something, I would go into my prayer room. Now, Lord, is this really what you want me to do? And so that's how that evolved into this ministry that now is, you know, around the world.
That you embrace this mandate. And, you know, one of the things that was very clear to me early on was that there was this, I used the word grace, this touch of God on you, that when you worked with women, whether it was individually or in groups, there's this thing about, I call it, you do what you do. And one thing I know for sure, there's going to be a breakthrough, and women are going to end up in this place of tears, but because they're in this place of deep reflection. And I've seen it happen time and time and time again. And I think that is a grace on your life that transcends all kinds of barriers. And could you just speak to, as you have been ministering to women, the barriers you've seen broken in terms of social, economics, ethnicity, race, culture? Just speak to what you've seen God do that affirms this mandate on your life.
My God, I have had so many testimonies, because in the moment, and I'll share one story. We were here, we had a book study, and I had just met this woman at another event. Just met her just for that 1 week, but we exchanged phone numbers. And here on a Sunday night, we were having the study, and she calls me. This woman was threatening suicide, but she called me. And so she's like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, I didn't know where she lived or anything. I said, listen, let me just get to you. Can you give me your address? And that's the first time I realized, speaking, and this woman, when I say she's a boss, she's an entrepreneur, great woman, and has done great work. But when I went to her house, her family didn't know what to do. They were just sitting in the living room because she had locked herself in her room. So I do what I do. I said, listen, I'm here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take as long as I need with you. I sat there for hours. And when I tell you, we ended up going away for a 2.5 day retreat, because she said, you know, I was like, oh, let me give you some affirmations. I want you to do this for this week. I want you to do that. And she's like, no. She's like, I need you to do it. And so I said, no, why don't you just get your nice little place on the beach and just sit and I'll give you what I want you to do within that week. She's the one that pulled that mandate to do the retreats within the program that I have. So I went on a 2.5-day retreat with her, and I can't begin to tell you the doors that God opened for her. And the doors are still opening. So the mandate, when I see tangible transformations, that's what keeps me going. And because my heart is so, I understand the space that women are in, because what I had to learn and what I use is that reflection. If we could just get the reflection and deal with that reflection that we see. And then the other thing we have too, I know I'm going on something else,
Quite all right.
but
We wanna
I
understand
need to
the
go
journey.
this. I need to
Yes.
do this. Because when we talk about the reflection, not only do we fight the reflection, but we have to silence the inner critic. See, she had an inner critic in her mind, in her head, that she wasn't good enough, she wasn't pretty enough, she couldn't do all these things, but she's a boss. We all go through those moments in our lives, and we all need that one person that can help you remind that the inner critic cannot tell you who you really are.
Amen.
So we allow the inner critic take center stage of our lives, and no one has ever said any of those things to you.
Wow.
But that is the loudest voice. If we can silence that voice with partnering it with our reflection, oh, we gonna be some strong women.
So that's amazing. That is great stuff. And there's so much at work right now. So part of this journey, and as I said, I've had the greatest seat in the house, and that is to watch God do it. And so really what we're celebrating today is more than a release of this book. It is the development of a ministry that began with your own reflections, your own challenge from God, your own self-journey, to counseling women individually, to me challenging you, hey, write everything down, develop your concepts, begin to lay out a program and process, to you putting that at work at retreats over multiple days, to hosting conferences, to traveling internationally, and now the volume of your work recorded in this amazing book.
Yes.
So it is really the launch and the birth of a full-scale ministry, to where if it's individual counseling, if it is personal growth and development, if it is a retreat setting or conference setting, you have this message of self-love worked out that you can host your own or you can take anywhere in the world. And it is going to be very, very, very highly qualitative.
Yes. Tell them what you saw in my prayer room, though.
Well,
My
and
process.
that's the intimate space that
Yeah.
I want to segue to.
Yeah.
Because coming home every evening, getting up every morning, waking up in the middle of the night, I would find her in one of three places, and more commonly than not, the third place. But the first would be curled up on her end of the reclining sofa with her computer, notes, and a cup of coffee. The second place would be coming home in the evening and finding her at the coffee table on the patio with the computer open, reading. But the most common place was, years ago, she wanted a prayer room. And as the children got older and went off to school, we converted one of the bedrooms into a prayer room where we have a family altar. And that is really the place where you labored in prayer, sketched out your ideas and concepts, put them on Post-its all on walls around the entire room. And really, those Post-its tell the journey, the story of the journey of how we got to where we are. And watching God develop those thoughts, those concepts, and sometimes being privileged enough to be a sounding board for you was an amazing, amazing process. So you share with us what it was like when it was just you and God and all those Post-it notes in that room.
Wow.
You were trying to work it out.
Whew. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, God, you want me to write a book? How do I go and start this process? So I, bounce a lot of things off my husband. So one of the things he asked, he's like, well, when you're dealing with women, what processes do you take them through? What types of subjects do you use? What part of the scriptures do you use? How? So he's asked me all these questions. And so I have the whiteboards, the whiteboard sheets, and literally they're 2 and 3 layered on the entire wall. So I would start with subjects. So the inner critic, forgiveness, how we love ourselves, who do God say we are. So I started with those, and I would put them all down on these little Post-it notes. Of course, I didn't know how I was going to organize it at that time. So I decided the way this book is, this book first, the second chapter speaks to the significance of the woman. I said, so if I first tell you who you are in the beginning of this chapter, the rest of this stuff that I need to deal with is going to be easy. So that's what I did. So I built it how I wanted to fortify who they were. I wanted them to know that they are who God has called them to be. And I just have to say this because this part of the book is going to bless women. Because when I started looking at the process for women, the significance of the woman, when I look at the whole woman, I wanted to introduce that first because you needed to see yourself in Scripture first. And that was with Eve. And so I spoke to how Eve came to the scene. A lot of people talk about Eve and all the trouble that she had. But what we forget is without Eve, what humanity would we have?
Be no humanity.
None, because Adam couldn't do it by himself. And so after God had created Adam and he's sitting there, falling asleep, and God had looked at everything and said it was great. But he thought he couldn't leave him alone. Can you guys imagine an Adam by himself? He couldn't do it. So the significance of the woman is when God reached in and grabbed the rib. I asked the question because Honey knows I'm going to always ask these questions. He has spoke to everything else. But why did he use a rib? Y'all, we don't look like rib bones right now. So why did he use the rib? And so I remember I asked you, and you're like, well, I don't know why he used the rib. And so I started calling around, and I called Miss Diane, and I think I called Brittany, and I said, give me the significance of the rib. And so they said the rib is the only bone that heals itself.
Now that is powerful.
So I was in the room by myself, and I had to go outside because I'm like, Lord, you just blew my mind. You mean the rib is the only bone that heals itself? See, that's what the enemy has tried to keep from us. And this book is going to tell you that your significance is because if that's the only bone that can heal itself, how do you think the enemy likes to come against us? Because he knows that no matter how far we fall, we're going to come back up stronger than we have ever been. And if we would understand that it's the cartilage that's on the back of that rib that heals itself, then that's what we were created out of. Yeah. We can't not lose.
That is absolutely so powerful. And yeah, and it just speaks to this amazing power women have to recuperate, to regenerate, to sustain themselves during difficult times, and just oftentimes carry more burden than you think they were designed to carry. And so there is absolutely a grace at work, and it gives hope to every woman who wants to start this journey of healing, that God has already placed something in your DNA.
It's in your DNA.
Power is already there.
Yeah,
that is absolutely amazing, and I just want to testify from having a front seat, just the prayer that you put into this process, so that the voice that is heard, the words that are on the page, are authentically yours. And I think that absolutely comes through. Let me segue to get a few more questions in before my time elapse this evening. Um, the universality of this message. What is it that you want women, mothers, grandmothers, young girls to take away? And how might this book be used to aid them on their journeys?
Let me start with a story that happened in Girl Scouting, because this book is for generations. I see mothers and daughters sitting down reading this book. I see church groups reading this book. I see people doing online things with this book, because I can tell you the way that I wrote this book is you're going to see yourself somewhere in this book. And when I did Girl Scouts, this mirror thing has been with me for a long time. And I had a young lady who I asked to look in the mirror to tell me, give me 2 things that you love about yourself and 1 that you don't like. And the young girl looked, and she looked in the mirror and she said, there's nothing beautiful about me. She's like, because I don't have blonde hair and I don't have blue eyes. This book is to reach you wherever you are. And it's centered in scripture. It's what God has said about us. God never changed his mind about us. So when you read this book, you're going to be able to see how the way that I use this scripture, I found every scripture that works with building our minds and our hearts, fortifying who we are, so that when we go through these chapters in the book, you're going to be able to see something that you've not seen before in scripture, because of the way I bring it in terms of the self-love and looking at that reflection. So my hope is that, you know, women all over, just like we would go and tell our sisters about the sales at different department stores, you go and at least buy a book or 2 for that woman in your life that you know you would be blessed by it, because it's going to take the time for you to get through the book. And there are real reflections of questions that you can talk about, and find your partner to do this devotional with, because what you are going to find is you're going to have someone that's going to hold you accountable. I don't want you to get the book and then, you know, do it by yourself. Find you one person that you can challenge each other for that journey. And I want you to keep watching my page, because I will have a Facebook group that I'm creating, because I want to go into this Facebook group, and just as I'm talking now, have different lives within that book in the group, so that if you have questions, of course, we can answer those questions. So just go, just like you would buy your friend coffee, go buy the book.
Absolutely.
And watch the both of you be transformed.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you for taking us behind the scenes and giving us an intimate look at how we got to where we are today. And it absolutely has been an amazing journey, and I'm privileged to have traveled it with you. This is a paraphrase of one of my favorite quotes. It says something to the effect that self-love is not selfishness. Self-love is your gift to others.
It is.
And I want women to take that to heart, but also men as well. And I want to encourage men. We've been encouraging women to purchase and read this book, but I want to encourage men to purchase and read this book as well. Number one, many of the principles that she talks about are universal in their impact on people's lives, and men can benefit from that. And then number two, more than what a woman wants from any man that's in her life, especially her soulmate, is to be heard, to be seen, to be understand. And this book will absolutely help you understand the emotional, mental, psychological makeup and yearnings of the woman in your life. And you reading this book and gaining an understanding can be your gift to the woman that is in your life. So I want to encourage men to do that. So with that, we've created some time to do some question and answer with our virtual audience. So we're going to segue at this time into that question and answer section. And as soon as we begin to receive them, we will put those questions to you. So are you ready? So this is your audience.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
And hello to the Face group, all of you that are live on Face group. I appreciate you. I know that there's some people that are on here from the UK. Thank you for laboring with us, and I appreciate all of you for taking this time. And let's get to the questions.
Okay. All right. So first question. What question should I ask myself as I look at myself in the mirror to start the process of healing or self-love?
The first thing you should ask yourself, because you are the only one that knows the stuff that you've got hidden. The first thing you should do is one of the things I like to do. Give me a mirror for just a second.
Where are the mirrors?
The little ones that are folded. I'll show you exactly what this looks like. Okay. So when we go to the mirror, too many times we just use it just to put on our makeup, do our hair, that type of stuff. But what I challenge you, those of you who are desiring to get to the core of who you are and core to those things that allows that reflection to hinder you from being your best self, is you take this mirror and then you look at yourself, look at your eyes in the mirror, okay? Because, see, what I've learned is people who are struggling with self-love, it's hard for them to look you in the eye, right? And they don't look you long enough in the eye. So look yourself in the mirror, and then you know that all those pockets of your heart that you have never talked about. So I usually say take your phone so that you can record yourself now showing you who you are, showing those things in the pockets that you have hidden because you've not ever had the ability to have the understanding of how you peel those layers back. Because what I do know is women all over, we have this heart, but all of those traumas, disappointments, they are just layers within your heart. And it's up to you to peel those layers back, all those things that are keeping you from being your truest self, those things that make you change when you get around different people. You understand? We can have different pockets of people, so we can act this way with this group. We go to, brunch over here with these groups. You got to get to a place where those layers that you are hiding, that once you peel those layers off, then you can be in any of those settings and be the truest self of who you are. But you have to be the one to acknowledge what those things are first.
This is powerful. And as you were answering, I want to amplify that.
Okay.
Your first Woman in the Mirror conference, you asked me to keynote. And I spoke from the topic of the mirror of the mind. And if you recall, one of the things I learned
the neurons,
as I was preparing that,
the neurons,
was that neurologists have actually discovered what they call neuroreflectors in our mind.
Yeah.
That in our formative years, what we are told about ourselves get locked in those neuroreflections. And why people in general, women in particular, when they look in the mirror, they could be as most beautiful person in the world, but what they see is that thing that got locked into those neuroreflectors. So when you talk about
it's another mirror,
the layers, is recognizing that there's a reason why you see what you see, that is not an accurate reflection of you,
right?
Is that you've internalized in your mind, in those neuroreflectors, those negative images people have put in your mind. So peeling back those layers, getting to that point, and then doing the work of those affirmations help you reset those neuroreflectors,
right? So
that you can see yourself the way you actually are and the way God sees you. Yeah. So that's a very important part of this whole process of mirror work.
Absolutely. I mean, we know ourselves. So when we're having that, I challenge you to record what you've hidden, because all of the stuff that we hide, it's in that heart. We are the ones that can go and dig those layers up, but you don't do it like it's a buffet. Right. Like when you go to a buffet, you choose those things you like.
Right.
So when I say go to the mirror, we're not going to say, oh, well, I just give all these things back to the Lord. No, 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 no. We need to go and go deep and peel each layer and deal with each layer as it comes up.
And just how powerful it is. And I know we have to get to the next question, but this is one of the most powerful moments at that first Woman in Mirror conference was when you had mirrors set up all over the sanctuary. And at the end of it all, after ministering on self-love and doing the hard work and identifying those issues, you had those women go to the mirrors,
Mhm.
and you gave them instructions to give those things to God,
Mhm.
and to release that inner child and to forgive themselves. And with that, those moments were so powerful to witness those women succumb to the power of God without anybody laying hands on them,
Yeah.
being set free and delivered without anybody speaking over their lives.
Yeah.
It was the fact that after receiving this powerful teaching, they were able to look in the mirror and see themselves like they have never seen themselves before. So that is an excellent question and a great way to start this journey.
And let me tell you the testimony of that conference. We had a young lady who came, she sat in the back. She wasn't sure she wanted to go to the mirror. And so she had some different issues, health issues that was going on. And when she looked in the mirror, she said she saw, get this, she saw the 8-year-old girl who lost her mother giving birth to a brother. And she had not been able to forgive her mother. And she did not see it until she was challenged to go and look in that mirror. And God has done some great healing with her through that process. And you're right, it's a challenge that I give women that people don't challenge you to look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
But I challenge all of you to look yourselves in the mirror.
Because there's all sorts of stuff locked up in those neuroreceptors that we may not even know that are there.
Yeah.
Until we begin that journey. This is so good. We can continue with it, but let's get to the next question. And this is in your wheel well as well. I've seen you do a lot of work with women on this particular issue.
Okay.
So here's the question. How do I heal or start healing from a pain that was caused from someone who is no longer here?
Ooh, I write. For that one, I would say write. Take that time, and as you're trying to work this healing process out to release what you need to, put that mirror there on your counter or wherever you are. And I love to do the recordings because it's different when you can talk to your own personal recording with truly how you feel. But writing for me is therapeutic. So a lot of times I'll say, write it as if you're writing it to that person, okay? And remember, when we talk about forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's really for you. So it's an opportunity for you to release that person, but also get your power back. And all you're doing is you go to, if you write, just go ahead and write out whatever that is. When you did this, this is what it made me feel. This is how it's left me. This is why I'm broken. The healing that you've not released forgiveness to me. You got to understand that not every time you forgive somebody, are they really going to be able to come to you and say, I'm sorry. There are some people you're going to have to forgive without a sorry. But because you want your power back, take that opportunity as if you're speaking to a person. But I would ask you not to do it in your home. I want you to go to a park. I want you to go to a beach. I want you to get it outside of your home because I don't want that memory to be locked up in that home or wherever you are. You understand? So it's a freedom of you getting your freedom back, releasing that person. So if you write it in a letter, then at that point, once you have written that letter, I want you to go and read it. After you write it, leave it for a couple of days. Go back and read that letter. Okay, because now the pain of that next time you read that letter, it won't be as bad, okay? But then on the third time, I want you to be somewhere where you make a decision how you're going to release that person. I don't know if it's going to be a fire. I don't know if you're going to put it in a vial. You're going to do something and let that be your ceremony of you releasing that person and then you getting your power back.
I'm so glad you touched on that last point of what to do with the letter. because in this case, the person is no longer here to interact with. And then in other cases, for whatever reason, there are reasons that they can't go to that person, but they need to release it. And you mentioned the fire. The other thing I've seen you do is well, you know, there's another thing, right? You know what other thing I'm talking about? Where you will have them go to a beach and
Throw them into the. I had them write things on rocks, the names of people who you no longer that are no longer here. And once you reconcile, okay, this is what happened, but if I release them, I get my power back. So what I'm going to do, because they're no longer here, that is an exercise that I did where I said, put that person's name on the rock. And we went to the beach, and I'd had her walk out into the water. And I said, now throw it as far as it can go. And I said, now for you to go back and hold on to that unforgiveness, you've got to go now find the rock, right? So when you throw it, release it. And as you're walking back to me, you leave that and don't bring it up again. So that was also another exercise I've done.
And absolutely. And I think the thing about the beach in particular is the fact that waves bring things in, waves also take things out. And when you do that, allow that to take that out.
Yeah.
This question is related, but it gets to a nuance that I think people struggle with,
Okay.
that I'd like to see you speak to also with forgiveness. It says, how can you forgive someone who doesn't believe they have wronged you? And then here's the key point. Forgiveness is hard without an apology. And so I'd like for you to speak with that, and if necessary, I'll piggyback on that, because I know that is something that people struggle with, where people don't believe they wronged you, or they can't move on without an apology.
Well, let's look at forgiveness, first of all, like a gift. It's your gift to yourself. It's your freedom. So, of course, there are going to be people who don't understand or think you're too sensitive, and I don't believe why you would think that I intended to hurt you or I hurt you. Well, when you've got people like that, that's your first signal. You have to get to a place to forgive yourself without them even recognizing that they hurt you. Because if they're telling you that they can't see it or they don't understand it, you're not going to pull that out of them, because those people are broken. They're hurt themselves. So if they can't see that they've wronged you, you have to take the road of, you know what, I don't even think this is worth it. Because if you can't see with just compassion that I'm telling you that I'm hurt, and you're telling me you can't understand that I've offended you or I hurt you, why would you waste the time with someone who can't see that? They don't understand that. So you reconcile whatever it was. And it's sometimes if the crying that you have to go through, whatever, I've had to do this. I'm telling you out of a personal situation for me. I've had to work through it because I understood that I know that my value and my worth is only asking for you to recognize it. But if you can't recognize the value in yourself to understand that you have hurt someone, then I'm speaking to, it's just like pouring water into a bottle, but there's the hole in the bottom. It's not going to hold what you're asking them to do. So look at it like this. Forgiveness is for you, it's your freedom. And even if they never tell you they're sorry, you reconcile that on your own, and you live in the freedom that God has told us to embrace.
Yeah, it's so important, and that's the insidiousness of unforgiveness. Because if to forgive, you have the expectation or the entitlement that someone will recognize that you are owed the forgiveness, they can keep you tied in unforgiveness forever.
Yeah.
By never acknowledging it. So you cannot allow that to be a condition, otherwise you will be forever connected to that person who refuses to apologize.
But think about this. Those of us who go to God, How many times? Can you imagine? The Bible says 70 times, 7 times a day that we can get forgiveness. So we want to go to God when we sin. But yet, you want someone to come to you to get forgiveness. Well, that's not going to always be the same thing. So if you know that God can't even forgive you because you won't forgive someone else, that's another yoke that you carry, because now, remember, you're holding unforgiveness, but God can't even hear you now.
Yeah, and you can't be free unless you
Can't be free.
And that was stated earlier. You stated earlier that you free yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the power of it. But the expectation that somebody else will, it keeps you tied.
It keeps you
And
tied,
some
and it
sense that
keeps
I'm
them
entitled
with
to
the
it.
power side.
Exactly. So you get the power back when you simply, when Jesus said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. And that was it. And we're
That's
forgiven.
it.
All right. So next question.
But let me just say this, because a lot of people think forgiveness is reconciliation. No, you can still release forgiveness, and y'all never do coffee together.
Absolutely.
And we good.
Absolutely. And because they've proven themselves untrustworthy.
No, we can't do
And
that.
undeserving.
Mm-hmm.
Now, forgiveness, trustworthiness, and being deserving of your company and presence are two different things.
My presence
So,
is no longer
I
in your
forgive you,
area.
but you're not trustworthy with me, and you're undeserving. So
You are so undeserving.
absolutely right.
And the only reason I'm doing it is because God says I have to.
Couple more. And these questions are great to our virtual audience. Thank you all so much. This one says, childhood trauma is something I'm afraid to deal with openly. How do I start if oh God, this gets into your wheel well as well. How do I start if I'm afraid to deal with the childhood experience? That child, that little girl. How do I start?
Wow. Whew. Y'all test me on this little girl. I got to do something with her. You know, we all have a little girl in us that, you know, I've ministered to so many women and counseled so many women that I've had to challenge them to go back to that space with me. And I know that depending on the level of trauma, it could be very scary. And for someone that's dealing with that kind of trauma, is the worst place to go is to go back to the place of the trauma. But that's where you need to start. And if you could challenge yourself just to, I don't know if you remember the color of the curtains, the table where it happened, the smell that you get. I don't know what part of this trauma that you're dealing with. But whatever that trauma is, you really can get through it, but you have to do it at a bite-sized pieces. So first take a moment, and you know, I usually say just record it. Record what happened. And I know when you're doing the recording, you're going to break down, you're going to cry. That all of that is part of this. But I want you to record it first, because not that you're trying to heal yourself now. I want you to go back and listen to the recording, okay? I want you to walk away from it for like 2, 3, 4 days. And then what I want you to do, I want you to go and record it again. Because believe it or not, when you begin to hear yourself saying what the trauma was in your life, by the second and the third time, now you can begin to deal with that trauma. And it's hard for me to understand what type of trauma to really deal with, but that's where I would start. And then if there's someone that you trust, that you know that would take it to the grave for you so that you can be vulnerable. See, this is the problem that women have, is sometimes they don't know who they can trust. Because women, we have got to do better about this, because women are hurting all over the world and they don't have a safe place that they can go to. So I would recommend, if there's a therapist that you might want to reach out to, a therapist, they're bound to keep everything private. That's one of the places that I would recommend. Or if there's a first lady or a pastor in where you are that you're comfortable speaking with, even trying that. But if you can't get to a pastor, just get a therapist and let that begin the walk with that journey.
And I would add to that, someone who understands the difference between healing and wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are many things God will heal us of, but we still suffer the trauma of it, and that's where we need to be made whole.
Oh, there's a chapter in
And
that too.
Yes, and that's where having a safe space, someone who is trusted, but also have some experience in dealing with these things.
Proven to be trusted.
And who are not going to treat these issues in black and white
Right.
tones. You're either or you're not.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that God does in our lives that he does through the process. And one of those processes is the Self-Love My Priority journey. Folks, let's give it up for Pastor Cheryl and this amazing time of reflection. And thank you so very much for allowing me to share this stage with you and reflect on how you got to where you are. This has been absolutely amazing.
Okay. So we are going to give some prizes out. So what is the... Okay. We're going to give out a first question to Sophia Gonzalez. So, the first question prize.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes. So,
what's the prize? Should I?
Give her the leopard cup and the coaster.
The leopard cup is here.
Mm-hmm.
Now the leopard sconce go with it, yeah?
Yeah, that to go with it.
Okay.
And okay, so Sophia, who happens to be here, you get to get my newest mug, and it says "I am enough," and then you've got the coaster that goes with it. So every time you have your coffee or your tea, you're going to be continually reminded that you are enough. Can you go give that to her for me?
Absolutely, sure.
Thank you so much. Now we have, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. Post yourself with it, tag me in it. Let me know what kind of conversations you're having with yourself when you do that. And the first to join the live was none other than Wendy Gavin.
Wendy, always first.
Woo-hoo.
So what do we have for Wendy?
Let's give her the I Am Enough, Blessed, Powerful, Unapologetically Woman set. The cup, the mug.
The mug.
Right there.
Okay.
The black, those two. So Wendy.
So we will show it, and then we will get it to Wendy.
Yes. So Wendy, this is, hold the poster. So this is the mug. I don't know which camera we're in, but it says, I have the black shirt also. So it says, I am loved, I am enough, I'm blessed, powerful, and I am unapologetic woman. So Wendy, I will give this to Jessica. You can pick it up at any time.
Congratulations, Wendy.
Okay. Do we have another gift or anybody else? Oh, a random person from the Cheryl. Okay. Those, I hope, well, I'm going to give y'all a little secret. Y'all go and like my Cheryl R. Glover page right now. They're going to randomly pick somebody who's recently joined the page. I'm having to change the page because I lost my Facebook a year or two ago. And because you see this R in Glover, there's another Cheryl Glover. So they are making me use my public figure page. So go and like that page, please, please. And tell me, what do you guys think about the cover of my book?
Beautiful.
Let's put some comments in the live. What do you guys like about the cover of the book? I mean, does it speak to what's in the book, The Mirror of Truth?
Yes, elegant, well stated, classy, graceful, all of the above.
Amen.
Represents the woman who wrote it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh, we still live. Okay.
So do we have a winner yet? Let's get a shirt.
Okay, which one?
The black shirt. The right there, the self-love one by the journal.
That's a nice shirt.
Yeah, I love this shirt.
Mhm.
So this is the the self-love shirt. Do we have someone? Oh, Tidia?
Yay,
Oh,
Tidia.
Tidia. You get to
she
win
gets
a shirt.
Okay, amazing, Tidia.
So we'll have this in the office with Jessica so that she can make sure you pick it up on Sunday or whenever you want to come by and pick it up. So what do we do next? We're at the end. Okay, so we're at the end, and they're telling me to pay attention to the screen.
I think they're telling you to tell the audience to pay attention to the screen.
Oh, pay attention to the screen.
She's worked hard, y'all, so let me close this out. Thank you all for joining us. We hope and trust that you have been blessed as we have to share this launch with Pastor Cheryl, whom we love and we're so proud of. As has already been indicated, turn your attention to the view screen for additional information and continue to follow and like and direct people to this resource, the book. It's going to bless people's lives. God bless you all and good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shifting your reflection beyond the mirror. According to a survey conducted by Dove, 80% of women are anxious about how they look, and only 4% of women around the world consider themselves beautiful. Every morning we stand in front of this mirror to get ready for the day, and as we gaze upon the reflection, we often bring in a weight of different things, our past, our mistakes, our failures, our setbacks and traumas. It's easy to get lost in the reflection staring back at us. I want to take a moment because when we stand in front of that mirror and we look at the reflection, it's not the reflection that we have the problem with. It's the things that we bring in with that reflection. If we look in the mirror only serves just as a surface, as a guide for us to take a moment and just stare at who we are. Don't allow your past traumas and your disappointments change who God innately has created us to be. He said that we're wonderfully made. And when we look at that reflection, look at who God says you are. Learn to love your reflection and what you see when you start your healing process.
Congratulations, Lady Cheryl, on the release of your first book. God bless you, and you are a blessing to many. I thank God for you, and may your book be a success, not only here, but all around the world. Amen.
Cheryl, on your new book, your first book, I'm excited for you. I've been watching your journey. Just as you're going through this process, going back and forth with the cover, with the words, just with everything, I'm excited for you. Congratulations. Keep it going one step, one day at a time.
Congratulations, congratulations, First Lady Cheryl. I am so proud of you. This book is going to be amazing. I'm so happy for you. May God bless you, and I cannot wait to see it go bestseller. Yeah.
I just want to say congratulations on this book release. Self-love, my priority, your priority. It has been a blessing. And so I know that this book will be the same. Congratulations for all that you're doing to spread love to the people of this world. Thank you.
Pastor Cheryl, we just want to say congratulations on the publishing of your book. We know you put in the work, and we cannot wait to read and share it. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And I'll be reading it also.
Yes. Wow, wow, wow. Cheryl Glover, woman of God. I am so proud of you. I watched you work this self-love journey in your own life, and it is such a privilege to see you finally put those words to paper and publish your first ever book. I'm so proud of you, Mom. Love you.
Congratulations, Lady Cheryl.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. What a great opportunity for us to share and have conversations and nuggets from this book. And I pray that as you actually go through this book, that you would receive the healing that you need. And then make sure that you share your testimony with all of us. Again, thank you and have a great evening. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. What a great